1,900 feet per of stuff. So now I can call them. But the guy, I mean, he was at 74, and he said it would be 79 because he was like, he was quoting at 1,600 views or 1,800 or whatever. So he was like, it'll be a little bit more, but not near as bad as I thought. So now I'm trying to figure out, what's the best way to go.
Well, we have to get our stuff shipped over here. What about that? 15?
Yeah.
I say if we ever move out of state, we're sending everything.
That's right, starting over.
Start from scratch.
All right, now I got to go see on Facebook if it's going to change slide it's supposed to, because half the time it seems to not want to do that.
Kayla said you ended up buying a vibration platform. Nice, man. Cool. She was like, "Oh, it's a whole bunch of." I'm like, doesn't just turn on. She goes, "No, it does so much more." And I was like, "Oh, cool."
It has different types of vibrations.
Yeah.
Sideways.
That's cool. Good. I told her, I was like, use it. I was like, get on that thing, do your exercises. It's the greatest thing ever. So, good job. How much did you pay for it? Oh. Free. That's awesome. Yeah, no, I love that. Vibration therapy is pretty freaking incredible. So it's good stuff. And you guys already have a sauna and everything? Or you don't use it? No? Oh.
We have the red, that red light.
As far as frequency, one that you lay under? Or is it just the light?
It just means
Oh, okay. Nice. They actually make a portable. I think I was telling you about that. Remember the portable? You have one of those, right? I know. I was telling you about that one. It looks like a silver refrigerator with your head poking out. You just kind of sit in there like a lawn chair. It goes from here and has little flaps out there. You just kind of sit in there and do it, but it's full infrared sauna, and it's less than $400. I was like, oh man, if you can, and it's portable, right? You can duffel bag size. So. Yeah. Big duffel bag. Yeah. One person can carry it. It's fine.
75 pounds.
Well, we're rolling it, maybe. No, that was not that. I don't think it's 75 pounds. The portable one's a lot lighter. It's probably half that. So 40 pounds something.
You have to take pictures of yours.
Dude, they are trippy looking. It's the weirdest. You ever watched on Doctor Who? You ever seen Doctor Who? No. There's a character in Doctor Who, and it looks exactly like that character. It's almost like something from Star Wars. It's weird. It's just like the silver box. It's pretty neat. All right. So you guys got your handouts perfect. We're getting started in just a little bit here.
Thank you guys for being here.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure we're live right now, so perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Very cool. So let's get started. Hey, I appreciate you guys being here. There's millions and millions of people out there that decided to show up here. So thank you so much. But this is an important one. Dr. Zach and I went and looked through basically our PowerPoint here. We wanted to find out what can we bring you guys as far as what are the things that we could do to eliminate toxins from our body? How do we go about doing that? What does that even look like? We call it the spring clean, right? They call it detoxing your home and your body. So let's get into it. So what's crazy is we're looking this up. It says the average person could be exposed to up to 2.1 million toxins on a daily basis, which is a pretty alarming number, 2.1 million on a daily basis, right? That we have the potential to be around. and in and out of. Now, what's crazy is because like when you're thinking about that, like where do we have literally that much toxins? We're going to go in depth into where you're going to find that, what categories do we find those in, and what can we do to remove a lot of that from our system.
And just thinking about it, with like toxins, like not even just toxins itself, but just stress. Like we're under so many different styles of stress that our body doesn't need to have toxic stress as well. So our goal here is to educate you guys on what are the toxic things out there that we can't eliminate it all, but to be able to reduce the amount of toxins so that our body can worry about all the other stressful things that it needs to worry about on a day-to-day basis. Okay.
So where are we finding these toxins? So literally, right, we got food, water, environment, cosmetics, cleaners, containers. So if we had to figure out, like, in a blanketed statement, where are toxins found? Everywhere. They're literally everywhere, right? That's the key that we're going to get at today. Unfortunately, in this day and world where we are right now, it's impossible to eliminate all the toxins from your body because they're constantly being bombarded, literally in everything that we're doing. So, you know, one of the things that we see is when those toxins start going up, they do wreak havoc on the body. They do cause damage. You know, obviously we don't want to have excessive damage to our cells, excessive damage to our bodies, because how's that help us health-wise, right? You think we're getting healthier or sicker if we have tons of toxins? Makes sense, right? So that's what we want to stay away from.
And the other thing too is not only just talking about these that we know about, obviously there's over 2 million that we're exposed to, but medications themselves. Okay, medications are good. They're there for a purpose, but not for a lifestyle. You know, our goal is to, with medications, crisis modes, real acute injuries, we need medication for those situations. I was reading some research on medication. There's over 25 million pills ingested every single hour in the United States. How crazy is that? That's a part of that over 2 million part of toxins there. Like, to me, it just is insane to think about that. On top of that, there are 100,000 of people are hospitalized because of just medication themselves, and a lot of that's even just over-the-counter medications that you can go buy at the stores, ibuprofens, Tylenols, Advils. And what happens is over 16,000 people have died because they're just taking over-the-counter medications. And what scares me about that is anybody can get that. Your kids can go to the store and go pick up some of those medications, and you don't know what's happening. People have in their purses, their drawers at work, cabinets at home, and anybody can get at those at any time. So that's what is concerning. You don't think they're that bad, but you know, you can buy 600 of them, take 600 of them, what happens?
You're not there.
You're not here anymore.
You know, I think one of the main misconceptions is the idea that because we have the word OTC or over the counter, we assume that it's over the counter, so it's different from prescription, therefore it's healthy. I have the ability to go, I mean, heck, like Dr. Zach was saying, a kid could go buy that. There's not a requirement for them to do that kind of stuff, right? And they just think about that as, oh, it's okay, use the over the counter. But you guys, you have to realize that, like, back in the day, the over the counter stuff that we find on this side of the counter used to be here in the pharmacy years ago when it was patented and still had those same things. So just because it made it from one side of the counter to the other side of the counter, it doesn't mean now it's just an okay to do whatever you want. You can go at it. Like, you still want to make sure that you're doing it correctly in when it's needed, right? Crisis mode, things like that. We don't just want to take them willy-nilly. You know, I used to do that, and I can tell you, like, when I had my knee surgeries, I was living on ibuprofen, 10 in the morning, 10 at night, all the time. And what happens after a while is it helps the pain a little bit, but then you start finding a bunch of other things as the body has to try and detoxify from all the ibuprofen I was putting in my body. So I was starting to get stomach issues, ulcers. I mean, it was bad news, right? But this happens because of the fillers that they're putting in those medications, because those are toxic to the body. Your body has to detox. So we want to be careful when we're looking at that kind of stuff. You know, and one of the things that we're looking at is toxic damage. So you can check that out. One of the crazy things is toxins will cause damage to the cells. They'll cause it to the enzymes in your body, which allows reactions to happen. It even breaks down. It can cause issues with the DNA itself, right? So you're thinking about that. Your cells, the enzymes that help the cells do what they need to do, and the DNA, which is inside cells, all that can be affected and damaged by the amount of toxins that are coming at us on a daily basis, right? So we want to make sure that we're taking care of our body and reducing these so that damage doesn't occur. If that damage occurs and it goes beyond that, then we can start having issues like you're seeing here, where it starts to disrupt your hormonal balance, where we start having issues with that. It can start affecting how well your body functions in general, impairs your immune system, right? If your immune system's impaired, do you think is it more likely that you're going to be having things come at you that you might not be able to fight off, right? So we're working ourselves at a disadvantage when all these toxins are literally shutting down all the vital things that we need in order to be at our best, okay? You know, and one of the things that we talk about is like, you guys have ever seen this, cancer, right? What we know now, back in the day, we used to think like cancer is all hereditary, right? The genes, my mom has it, my dad has it. What they find now is we can really see like 95% of all those cancers are coming from things like your diet, some of the toxins that we're exposed to on a daily basis. So that means that 10% is the things that come from your genetics, right? Now, when I look at that, you know, it seems like you'd be, oh, well, it has the genes, so there's nothing I can do about it for me. That's what I have in life. But I look at that and I say, okay, maybe you have the genes to predispose you for cancer. So what that means for you versus somebody who doesn't have those genes, that means you have to be more diligent in taking care of and controlling the things that you can't control, right? You know you can eat healthy. You know you can exercise and stay active, things like that. The person who doesn't have the cancer gene has to do those exact same things, right? They shouldn't be doing those either. But who's going to be more effective with it? If you're doing all these bad things and you have the gene for cancer, you're really raising up the likelihood that you're going to get that, right? Whereas if you had the genes for cancer, had all of it, and you were doing all these other things correctly, you might not ever get cancer, right? Even though you have the gene for it, you're predisposed for it. But it's because you've taken control and you've taken care of the other health aspects that you actually have control over, right? And it makes a huge difference. It makes a huge difference.
And it has a lot to do with like the 5 essential approach that we always talk about in Preacher in this office. This hits home for me because my grandfather, he died at age 56 years old due to cancer. One, it was in his liver, then went to his lung, then went to his bone, he had to chop off his arm. Well, throughout his entire life, like when I looked up to him, because he was one of my mentors, I looked up to him, he taught me so many things. I thought he was healthy, not really understanding like what his life was like. He had so many different jobs throughout his entire life, working in different warehouses, factories, owning trucking companies, so dealing with all that smoke and the fuel and mobile homes, all the toxic stuff in the mobile homes. What happened was there's an accumulation of toxins throughout his entire life that he didn't know that were inside of his body until he got hit with cancer. He would never clean out that toxicity bucket in his body. And so that's what we want to be able to talk to you guys about, is how to, we're all born with this bucket of toxicity. We've got to figure out how to clean out that bucket of toxicity, or at least have less with that. And so that's something we'll be going over next, is this toxicity bucket.
Yeah. So like Dr. Zach talked about, so it's called the toxic bucket theory. So this is one of the prevailing theories on how does toxins get in your body? How do they wreak havoc in the body, right? Because the idea that like toxins are coming at you all day long and on a daily basis, where your body has detoxing organs, it has the ability to deal with that kind of stuff. So then the question is like, well, how is it your body can deal with it? How is it that this kind of stuff happens, right? And they use this idea of the toxic bucket theory. And as Dr. Zach talked about, essentially, we all have a bucket, right? An empty bucket that gets filled with toxins. And as we go throughout our day, throughout life, as the years go on, we're exposed to different chemicals, different viruses, different pesticides, herbicides, everything, depending on what job you had, depending on where you are. You know, for example, like Dr. Zach's grandpa, you know, trucking company. He's around a lot of those petroleum products. He's around other things that have been causing toxins to go in his body and filling up that bucket, right? Somebody like me or somebody else who say is maybe the same age as Dr. Zach's grandpa, but works at like a grocery store, right? Versus the guy who works at a trucking company. Who do you think's inhaling more toxins? And your grandpa, right? Grandpa, right? Grandpa he's doing that. Not that this person's not having those toxins going in there, but the rate of which this guy is having toxins fill up his body is nowhere near what Dr. Zach's grandpa is like, right? That's what we start seeing. Eventually we have this bucket, it starts filling up with all the things that we do. You can see right here, right? Different toxins, all the things that we're going to be talking about, and we're really going to dive into in the next few slides here. All of that gets added into the bucket. This person right here, you know, if we're looking at these people, right? This person's a healthy person. This person's building disease. They still feel great, right? They haven't had any symptoms or any issues with it yet because they're still building that disease. The bucket's not full yet. This person clearly with an overflowing bucket. When we have an overflowing bucket, that's when we get the symptoms. That's when we have the problem. That's when I have this, shows up, once we have an overflow of that bucket, right? So here's what's crazy about that. If we all start here, we're all filling up that bucket. So one of the things that we want to do is decrease the rate at which we're filling the bucket, because we can't stop filling the bucket, unfortunately. And if we can eliminate some of the areas maybe where we're getting those toxins, and we'll go through that categorized so you can see where we might find those things. But this is huge when it comes to everything that we're doing in life. Like right now, right, we're in the middle of this pandemic. We've been at it for a little bit, Corona. But like really, we don't know a whole bunch about it right now. And what we're really trying to tackle is the virus side of it, the virology. And this study here that I was reading, it's really, really good, and it came from Food Chemical Toxicology, and it just talks about the role of the toxins that play and contribute to this whole pandemic that's going on, right? And it says right now what we're doing in this country is we're really big on taking care of the virus portion of it. We're quarantining people. We're making sure you're wearing masks. We're pretty much social distancing. We're accelerating how fast we put vaccines in the market. We're decreasing really how much work we have to, how many hoops we have to jump through to get them out on market, so we can get this stuff to people fast now, right? That's okay. That's one side of it, though. That's the virus side of it. And as this graph's going to show you, like there's a lot more components to it. So basically, to sum this up, this graph right here shows people, right? You can think of each one of these mixtures is a type of person. And what it's showing is all of these people, if they have these little areas involved, and you can see the legend over here, so C1 is wireless radiation toxins from that kind of stuff, EMF, things like that. C2 is going to be like your high-fat diets, that's toxic fats, poor quality diets, processed food, that's another stressor, right? And then we have the pesticides, herbicides, the insecticides, stuff that they're spraying on our food, right? This is not an exhaustive list. There's tons more toxins in this, but it gives you an idea of how this works. So if we look at this person, right, this line right here, this checkered line right there, that's like the death line. That means once that gets above that area, that person's gone, okay? All of these people in here would be technically considered to have gone by COVID. That would be the death rate, right? So really, if you're looking at it, this guy right here, this guy, he's just like the guy that walks around kind of like Dr. Zach's grandpa. He has had a lot of toxic exposure, right? He's living in the wireless radiation section. He's already got that exposure. Number two, he's eating poorly, right? He's eating processed food, high rancid fat food, stuff like that. So he has something else stacked against him. And even number three, right? He's probably eating GMO food. It's sprayed with herbicides, pesticides. He maybe lives out on a farm. He's getting these toxic exposures all the time. That's this guy's life, right? So he walks around 2 years ago, before he even know about Corona, and he has these things going on with his life. Right? Is this guy healthy or is he sick? Just walking around. He's sick. He feels pretty good though. He has no idea because he hasn't hit that threshold. Now 2020 shows up, right? Boom! All of a sudden, this guy gets coronavirus, and now he's here. He gets Corona. That puts him over the edge. He's gone, right? Now that's a Corona death, and you probably could say, okay, that is actually contributed to Corona death. But I would look at that and go, is Corona the cause of this guy's problem, or is literally everything else against him, right? And that's kind of like the last straw that broke the camel's back. It leads up to that. If you take any other person in these mixtures here and you just throw in the Corona, it's not like this person right here has nothing going on. They got Corona, they're still okay, right? All these other things would have to be contributing factors in order for that person to get to a death rate. Right? So what it shows you is we have viruses, those are there. We're doing things to try and take steps to deal with that. That's one block. There is no one block that puts somebody in a death. You see that? It takes multiple things for that person to succumb to any of those issues. So while we can't deal with the virus because it's an invisible thing that you can't actually touch and grab and so on and so forth, and it's just out there, what we can take control of though is the other things that have been added to the mixture. We can limit the type of food we're eating. We can take care of the cleaners that we're dealing with, and we can reduce these blocks. And if we can reduce those blocks, we have less of a load, right? That bucket's not nearly as full. Then if something like Corona happens, how well do you guys think we're going to do? Pretty dang good. You're going to be like 99.96 of everybody else, the sniff, right? That's it. But if you have complicating factors and they're going up there, then that type of response that you're going to have if you do get Corona becomes more, right? Or if you have everything stacked against you, Like this guy right here, you're that guy who now when you get the corona and then you're that one of the severe to the critical death rates, right? The 20,000 people that are in that age range that have actually had it to that degree, right? Those aren't healthy people. Those are people that have other complicating factors that have taken their health down. And if it wasn't corona, it's going to be something else, right? In 2 to 3 years from now, 2 or 3 years ago, we had another thing, swine flu. It's something else going on. So we always want to be prepared to take care of the things that we can actually control. That's not number 4. That's 1, 2, and 3, right? Those are the things that we have the ability to deal with. So, all right. So, and again, it comes down to being proactive. If we eliminate those toxins, we're being proactive about it. What we're doing right now with when we're attacking it from the virus side, it's not proactive, it's reactive, right? You have this issue, do this now. Well, we reacted to it. Whereas, like, if we were proactive, hey, let's make sure you're doing things like our 5 essentials to keep yourself healthy. So then if something does come at you, you're in the best opportune moment to overcome that, not ever get it, not even know it's even anything that you should be concerned about because your health is where it needs to be, right? So that's what we want to be proactive about it.
So the next thing here, we're going to be just exposing what these next top toxins are. So these last slides that we'll be going over are going to be that list that we talked about at the very beginning, the water, the food, the cosmetics, things like that. So the next one we're going to be talking about is cleaners. So I'm sure you guys have all been through, you go into a house or a restaurant or something, you get hit with that like chlorine or that pine sol or that cleansing smell. You're just like, whoa, you kind of get that instant like little headache. Well, that's your body telling you that that's a toxin that just entered inside of your body, and that headache was a sign saying we shouldn't be ingesting that or smelling that or drinking that because that's going to cause toxicity in our body. So obviously what we want to do is we want to avoid those, and in everyone's pack when they first got started with us, they got a welcome packet, and there are some homemade recipes that you can use instead that are less toxic for the body. We look at like what we use here in our office and as well as at home is Pure Haven. Pure Haven is non-toxic. Like you can drink this and you would be okay because it's non-toxic. We've got doTERRA On Guard stuff. This here is very good for the body and it helps to reduce the toxins inside. Norwex. So we don't have any Norwex cloths here, but Norwex is an antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal cloth and towels that you can buy, and you wash them, and they put colloidal silver in there, and they activate a charcoal to help to pull the toxins off of your body. So they're a little more expensive, but long-term wise, you save money because you're not buying a whole bunch of paper towels and napkins and things like that. Norwex, Norwex.
So one of the things like with the cleaners, like when you're doing your dishwasher, you know, like after you get done running the dishwasher, and you open that thing up and you get this big cloud of that coming out. Well, the cleaner that you just put in there is chlorine-based cleaner. So then now you've just created chlorine gas, like when it comes out, and then we're around that, we're inhaling it. So
up to 48 hours, you're inhaling that chlorine gas that's floating around in the house. So what you want to start going to is 7th generation, chlorine-free. This is what we use for our dishes now. And when you open that up, you don't see that big cloud, and you just get hit with just nothing. There's no steam, nothing. Just versus doing something like this, putting this stuff in there is loaded with a bunch of different chemicals that just stay around the whole entire house.
Some of the other ones, if you're looking at your cleaners, you'll see different chemicals like formaldehyde, chlorines are in there, the ammonias are in there, and there's tons more, guys. When we go through this list of all these different chemicals, I want you to realize that it's a very, very small, I mean, it's a lot. We're going to go over a lot, but it's a small list compared to literally the amount and the abundance of toxins that come at us. And we're going to go over this list and everything. You guys are going to figure it out. At some point, you're going to be experts at it. And then a couple of years from now, they're going to figure out that you figured out that these chemicals are things that you're staying away from, and they're going to change the chemicals up. And then they're going to be able to find and make something again that's going to have a different type of chemical that you can't identify. So you just want to be on top of it and make sure that you're constantly looking at those things, and don't just look at the cleaner bottle that says, I'm super healthy, trust me, right? It's probably not super healthy. If it has to say, trust me on the front of the bottle, it's not, right? So you want to keep that in mind when you're doing that, even in your cleaners. Okay, so after cleaners, right, we also get the disinfectants. This one blows my mind, right? Because right now we're in a time where we have to wear disinfectants for everything. It's like you go into put your mask on, social distance, put the disinfectant on your hands, right? And that's kind of where we're at. Well, the reality is we're getting these other things that are coming in the disinfectants, right? Fragrances, the different colors that they're adding into it. This right here, the propylene glycol. Anybody ever heard of that before? Like called antifreeze. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody walks around pouring antifreeze bottles on their hand and washing their hands because that's not good for you. Everybody knows that that's not a good thing. It's toxic for you, and yet we put that into our disinfectants, and that's what you're spraying onto your body in order to, disinfect your body, which I don't know, it makes no sense to me. Because when you're disinfecting your body, but then you're damaging it, then how are you helping?
Yeah, people just don't know that. That's why we're going over this stuff. And then the other thing about the disinfectants actually creates a weakness in the immune system. So when you have a weak immune system, and when you get exposed to something else, what's going to happen to you? You're going to get healthy or sick? Sick, yeah. So obviously there are healthier disinfectants out there. We use doTERRA. It's right here. So this is what we use for our hand sanitizer. And it's small, and you keep it in your pocket, your purse, and quick sprays, and spray it wherever you want when, we use it all the time.
That's awesome. So I'm gonna let you guys, everybody can pull out their cell phones, only for this time. And then you can take a picture of this right here. If you guys have ever used this, right?
You guys used this QR code before?
You ever done that? Okay, so yeah.
So
you're awesome. Great. Yeah. So nobody brought their cell phone because they listened, so it was really, really good. If you are out there and you do have your cell phone, go ahead and take a picture of this, and then it'll pull up. What it's gonna do is it's gonna bring you to the EWG.org app, right? And if you remember from some of our earlier talks, or if you don't remember, EWG stands for Environmental Working Group. They are a third-party agency that literally goes and does testing on tons of stuff, on different products, cosmetics, pesticides. I mean, they're looking at it, and they categorize it by high toxic load, small toxic load. Is this toxin safer? Is it a toxin? Like, it will categorize that, and it gives you a very easy to read green, yellow, red indicator as to which ones you want to stay away from. So if you're grabbing this guy right here, and you go and you scan the card, you look it up on EWG, and all of it's red, well, you don't want that one, right? You want to find one that's giving you more greens. So then you scan another one, and it maybe has a lot more greens to it. That would be a great alternative to use, so we're minimizing the amount of toxins that you're being exposed to. So awesome app. It's free. It's really cool.
We use it quite often, just getting started with learning the whole process, not only just cleaning stuff, but even food. Yeah. Like, we would scan almost everything in the beginning, trying to figure out what can we eat, because you don't know some of the words, you have no idea what it even says. And so by scanning that, we're like, okay, well, we can have this, and this out of this entire aisle full of food. We can have 3 things. Okay, cool. That's good to know. We can have those 3 things. But yeah, there was an app that we fell in love with. Now we rarely use it because we know what our staples are. But do you think this happened overnight? No. So we've been doing this for over 7 years. So it's taken 7 years to develop a good little routine of things. And are we still learning stuff? By all means, yes. These things are constantly changing. So next thing we're going over is actually cosmetics.
For our ladies. So yeah, cosmetics.
Yeah, the crazy thing about this is that they tested 49 different facial makeup items. And out of those 49 items, every single one of them had some sort of heavy metal in them. And as you can see there, they did 5 foundations, 4 concealers, 4 powders, 5 blushes, bronzers, mascaras, eyeliners, shadows, lipsticks, glosses. They tested all those, and they were all contaminated with heavy metals. And you can see the list of heavy metals there. 96% of lead, arsenic, we know that's not good for us, cadmium. I'm just like, that just blows me away. Never really realized that there's all those things inside of the makeup, and our skin absorbs all that stuff. About 25% of the stuff we put on our skin gets absorbed, and it goes into the bloodstream. And it goes in the bloodstream, goes throughout the entire body. Is that going to be good or bad? And then what happens? Are we emptying the bucket, or are we filling up the bucket? Filling up that bucket.
overflow.
That's where we're at. So, like Dr. Zach talked about.
Oh yeah, yeah. So yeah, with these heavy metals, they, I mean, you can see the list of things that they cause when your body goes through heavy metal toxicity. So we obviously, the big thing right here is neurological problems. Like what controls the human body? The nervous system. And that's affecting the nervous system because what it does is it actually passes the blood-brain barrier, attacks the brain, and then over time, when the heavy metals stay in the brain, we start to lose our memory, start to forget things. And what is that called? Dementia, Alzheimer's. That's a lot of that stuff is due to not doing the 5 essentials, but definitely having an overload toxicity of heavy metals in the body.
So if you guys didn't get it the first time, here's another one.
With this here, so talking about this last part, these are so some of the healthy alternatives to use would be for cosmetics. We have Younique, Younique. There's doTERRA. There's Crunchy.
Yeah.
Yep. And then Pure Haven. So all these things, I've never heard of Crunchy. I still got to look into that one. But the other ones I named off are everything that we do in our household. Well, I guess I don't. My wife does. Not saying that, guys wear makeup, so not saying that they don't. But
not nearly as much, though.
Yeah.
So you ladies are at a huge disadvantage for that. You're doing way more cosmetics than I do. So just keep that in mind.
Let's see. So they have for cosmetics.
Yeah, those are companies.
Those are what
so
that we use. I'm sure there's more out there, but we haven't. I mean, we found what we liked and we just kind of stuck with it.
So same with that EWG. If you are going to be looking at your cosmetics, that EWG works really well for that exact purpose. So if you do find a company, you're like, oh, it looks healthy, EWG it and see, and they'll show you. They'll let you know if they haven't done it yet. Then it won't say that. But they've been pretty good at getting most of them. Yes, sir.
So the EWG specifically covers cosmetics also.
It does cover cosmetic. It doesn't cover every single cosmetic there is, but it has a huge variety of cosmetics. Yeah, in different companies too, so it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, and I looked at just to make sure. Younique. I shouldn't leave it here, but there's like a mood stick, which is like eyelash stuff. Mascara.
What's that called? Eyeliner?
Yeah, mascara.
Mascara.
Yeah, so I looked that up on EWG and it was a green number 2. So fantastic. You want one between 1 and 3 or greens. So it was a number 2 on the green. So we pretty much just stuck with that. Or Ashley did.
Yeah, that's accurate. So that's the cosmetics, right? So now we're gonna get into the stuff that we're using to cook our food. Okay, this big huge word right there, the polytetrafluoroethylene, that's a fancy way of saying Teflon. Okay, so and Dr. Zach actually has some interesting facts about this Teflon.
Yeah,
stuff.
what's crazy is, so back, I was doing some research and stuff. So back 20, 30 years ago, this company, this factory came across this chemical and they were trying to develop like a glue style substance, stickiness. Well, what ended up happening was the complete opposite. It was more slick and smooth. Like, this is actually kind of interesting. We'll wait and see this later because we might need it for something different. Well, what did they use it for? Non-stick pans. Let's make sure that you can scramble an egg without it breaking and without it sticking, making bacon, whatever it is that you put in those pans that stick. They did that. They put this chemical in there so it didn't stick. Well, when it came out about 20 years later, all those chemicals that are coming from the factory were pouring into rivers, pouring into lakes. In that town, they were finding out people were coming down with cancer, people were dying, a bunch of random diseases that the rest of the towns around them never had. They found out it all came to because of this chemical that were in the pans that were all throughout the water. Now the concerning thing is, you guys still see Teflon pans in the stores. Yeah. You see warning labels. You see warning labels on them that says it can cause headaches, disease, death, neurological death, or neurological problems. No. Why not? The crazy thing is that same chemical is in actually the blue masks that everybody has been wearing. Guess what you're inhaling? that chemical.
So, we want to steer away from things like Teflon, things like those non-stick surfaces. Teflon's also, I believe Teflon's a brand name. They also make Cephalon and
Trying to change the name a little bit.
things like that. But just non-stick coating, that's the key, right? Non-stick coating. The fancy name that they have for it is really irrelevant because it's probably all the same stuff, right? When it comes to, hold on a second, though, when it comes to the healthier thing, stay away from the non-sticking surfaces. We want to be switching to things like stainless steel. You ever cook with stainless steel, right? A lot of times the problem with the stainless steel is it sticks, right? The whole point of non-stick cooking. So if that's the case on your stainless steels, cook at a lower temperature, that will help, or put more oil in it, an oil that cooks at a high temperature, like avocado oil, grapeseed oil, something like that. So you get the non-stick portion of it, but you're also not getting the non-stick coating that is going to be getting flaked off and you're going to be eating it in your food, right? Stainless steel won't do that. You can also use things like, you ever heard of like iron, cast iron? Cast iron is great to be using. Be careful though, because it will put iron into your diet. So, if you have low iron, that's not so bad. If you're moderate iron, that's also not so bad. But if you're constantly using a cast iron skillet, you could be getting way too much iron. And we want to stay away from a lot of those heavy metals, right? We're getting them literally from everywhere else. So we don't need to get it from our cast iron pans either. You can also use ceramic, right? Ceramic or stoneware. They're a little bit more expensive, but they also do really, really good. They usually will guarantee that it's like, buy really nice stoneware, guarantees for life, it won't flake off, things like that.
Yeah, and the other ones that we use are like the green pans. They're good, they're non-stick, but what we do is when things start to chip on it, we get rid of it and buy a new one, because I don't know what's underneath it, but on the top non-stick stuff, that's actually a healthier non-stick product. And I don't know what's underneath it, so I'm not even risking it. I'd rather just go get rid of it and buy a new one. Sucks because it's like almost every year it seems like we're buying new pots and pans, and over time it gets kind of expensive. I know there are some that are out there that are really expensive. I don't know specifically what they are, but I know that the European world over there, they actually got rid of Teflon in all of their cookware because they knew it was causing death and a lot of issues with people, so they got rid of it. So if you find anything with European-made pots and pans or Italian-made pots and pans, those ones are good because they don't have the Teflon stuff in it.
Yes, sir. Ceramic coating. That's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
So it's
But
ceramic coated.
underneath, once that coat gets chipped from a silverware or
It's just an aluminum pan.
then it's aluminum underneath that. And that's the concern with aluminum. I know I did growing up with, aluminum foil like a fish and cooking it with, cooking fish or ribs or something with aluminum foil. When you heat up aluminum foil, that stuff leaches inside of the food, and then we eat it, and we eat that stuff. And aluminum is not good for us either at all. Deodorants, all the aluminum deodorants, vaccines, things like that, cause a toxic burden and start to fill up that bucket again.
So we want to be changing those out, right? That's the cooking ware. Now it's the storage, right? The things that we store our food in, we also have, literally from the beginning to the end, everything has to be changed when I do this talk, right? That's what I keep feeling. But, plastics are huge, right? Like think of Tupperware, right? Tupperware is a big one, Gladware, all that kind of stuff to hold your food. The problem is, those microplastics, the little chemicals that actually make the plastic mobile and flexible and colored and see-through, all that stuff, those can be leached into your food. Specifically, when you put your food in one of those storage containers, right? And let's say it's pasta or whatever, you take it out, you want to go eat that. Most people put that in the microwave, right? And then once they turn that on, now we're heating up that plastic ware. Whatever chemicals are in there are now going into your food. That beautiful pasta that you're eating. When you pull that thing out, now you're eating, plastic pasta. Not fun, but that's what's going on, right? Same thing if it's really, really cold, right? If you just like why you don't want to put a water bottle out in your car, and it's like it freezes and it gets hot and it freezes and gets hot, and they're like, don't drink that water bottle. If you're in an emergency, you're gonna die, okay? But you don't want to drink it because that plastic from the expanding and contracting is now inside your water, right? It's a huge problem. They did a study on this. They found out that 1,769 plastic particles when they're looking at the tap water that we're drinking. When they compared it, the United States, 94.4% of all the samples contain some kind of plastic fiber in it, right? Just plastic fibers. Look at other countries, every other, you know, what is that? Is India? India is like the second, they're at 82 and then 72 for Europe. So it's like 10%, 20% more than other countries. 94% plastics in your water, right? Crazy.
And what about the water that's
Wow, right?
Exactly.
We're not even touching that. We'll be here for hours. If we spend.
So is the tap water better or the one in the plastic bottle?
Yeah, that's neither, unfortunately. We're going to get into
Yeah, we're
what
gonna
you
get
can do
into
about
how
that.
to change that.
But you know, with the microplastics, really easy. You want to be switching to the glass, right? Now they make really nice. Costco, they make a really cool little, I don't know, it's like a glass Tupperware set, but it does. It has glass bottoms. The top will be plastic, right? It's good to start changing over those things. Ross has a good. You can find some cheap glassware there. So just start kind of shifting it over. Now I get it. You're not going to change out every single thing, right? If you have to use the plastic, you're like, my coffee, I don't store my coffee when I grind it. It's in a plastic Tupperware thing, right? But it's not getting excessively heated. It's not getting excessively cooled. I'm not cooking it, anything like that. So it's literally just used to be stored. Now, would it be better to use glass, ceramic? Yes, absolutely. But that's not as big of a deal as, you know, storing my food in the freezer in some of those plastic things. You want to be making that switch to the glass as quickly as you can.
So they recently, I mean, of course, having the plastic lids is better than having the whole entire plastic thing. But looking at this here, you know, they just recently come out with wood lids. So that's obviously going to be a lot healthier. Probably going to be definitely quite a bit spendier. But it should last a long time as long as you're taking good. You know, my concern about the wood is, you know, the washing of it. I don't know how good it is. Sometimes you wash wood for multiple times, you know, it gets cracked and dried and things like that. So I don't know that scenario, but definitely the steps are doing one with the plastic lid and then eventually transition one to wood lid to reduce it even further.
Just like you had talked about, water, right? Huge problem that we're dealing with.
So with water here, it's crazy to think that it contains over 84,000 chemicals. Our water does, and you think about all this list here. How many of you guys take showers, take baths, brush your teeth, drink water, cook with water, swim in pools, do jacuzzis, wash dishes, and do laundry? I sure hope everybody does at least most of those things.
Maybe not the jacuzzi.
Yeah. Right. So swim pool, jacuzzi, those are two different. Those are, you know, maybe not everybody does that, but everything else we all do. So we're exposing ourselves to all of those chemicals on a day-to-day basis.
The context of that is municipal water systems, right? As opposed to
Groundwater from a well.
Yeah.
Yeah. This would be treated water in a city. Yeah. When you're using well water, you know, it could be good, it could be bad. It kind of depends on where the well is, because it depends on what minerals are sitting in there. So some of them actually have really good well water. Like my parents have really awesome well water because we have a really good filter of minerals, whatever's down in there. But not everybody's out. You know, everybody's like that. Like our neighbors a few miles down the road, they're like on a sulfur well mine, and their whole house smells like sulfur. Anytime they turn the water on, it tastes like so not so great there, you know. But yeah, it's still better. Sulfur water is still better than having a lot of the other crap that's floating in your water here. So, you know, one of the things that I found was crazy is it's like 84,000 chemicals just in our water. You know, when I was going to, before chiropractic college, I was going to be a pharmacy technician, or I was a pharmacy technician. I was going to be a pharmacist. But I was doing the pharmacy work for a while, and I can tell you one of the reasons why we have 84,000 chemicals into our water system is because not too long ago, the standard of getting rid of medication that was bad for you was doing what? Yeah, down the toilet,
Which
right
goes
down
where?
the drain.
To the city water.
Yeah, into our water system. And then you guys know the process of making dirty water, clean water is kind of a dirty process. I mean, use a lot of chemicals to make that stuff happen, right? And even after we put all that out, we're finding that there's different hormones in our waters, there's antibiotics, there's stuff still in our water supply because it's not coming out, right? Because for years, decades, we've been dumping almost every medication down the toilet, down the drain, and now it's in our water supply, right? So it becomes even more important to make sure that you're putting good, clean quality water into your body any way you can, because we have to offset a lot of that kind of stuff that happens. So, and Dr. Zach knows a lot about that one with water.
Yeah, so with the water systems, I mean, there's under the sink water system, there are the fridge water system filters. There are the ones that you can attach to your actual sink head there. That's a water filter. They've got the ones you can fill up and put in the fridge. There's water filters that you can put on your shower head itself before it hits, it goes into the filter, then it goes on to you. Then there's the best is the whole home filter, so it filters everything, even your toilet bowl, and so you can drink that. It's not saying we should.
Now.
But the machines that I like is the Kangen machine. It's expensive, but it's one of the best machines out there. You can change it. Yeah, it's Kangen. You
can actually adjust the pH balance,
yes,
all of that on the fly.
Our body should be on a little bit of on the alkaline side of it, not the acidic side. But the cool thing about the Kangen water is you can change it from a 2.0 acidity all the way up to 11 or 12 for alkalinity. And the 2, you can use that for cleaning. It actually has been designed to clean antibacterial and viral things at that low acidity. And then when you get the high alkalinity, you can use that to clean vegetables and fruits and things like that. And then you find where you want, if you want between 8 and 10 alkalinity for your water, then you can adjust that and just drink that alkalinity water. That one is, I would have to look and see if they have a whole home filter. I'm just used to the one where it's just like it hooks up to the sink, and then from the sink it goes to this whole little filter system and it spits out in from a different hose. But the other one that I actually got like a bid on for my house was called the Halo 5 whole home machine. Halo, Halo 5. That one you have up to like 10 years of clean water, over 1 million, I think it's like 1 trillion gallons of water that it does, and cleans it. It cleans itself as its own cleansing filter system. I don't know how often, but it was like about $4,200 to $4,800. At some point, I'll end up getting that, but I didn't have the means at the time, so that's something to think about. They do have different, payment options you can use as well. So
the first one,
Kangen. So Kangen.
Got it. Yeah, so I mean, it's important, like to make sure that you're putting that good quality water on you. And like Dr. Zach had mentioned earlier, what goes on your skin, right? 25% of that gets absorbed by the body. So if you're putting that on your skin, think about the shower that you're having, it's non-filtered water. 75% of that's kind of glancing off and you're using it to clean, but the other 25%, that's getting into your body. So we want to make sure that 25% of that water is as clean as possible. And that's where the filtering comes in. A lot of people don't think about the showers. It's more just like the drinking water, but it certainly plays a role in that as well. All right, so now we have what cooks our food. We have it in our water. Here's actually in our food, right? So this is toxins in our food. Again, not an exhaustive list, right? That's like, 6? That's a very, very small list. But we are finding things like monosodium glutamate. That's MSG. That's the stuff that's found in Chinese food, right? Gives it its flavor. Aspartame, which we know is a carcinogen. It's not good for you. We find that in like in gums and diet sodas and stuff like that. Nitrates, FD and C colorings, as in the food dyes that we're seeing there. We've seen those can have problems with like hyperactivity, specifically the dyes. Refined oils, refined being like rancid oils, right? Like vegetable oil, rapeseed oil. Those are refined rancid oils. They've been processed. They're high in inflammatory processes. They're not things that we want to be putting in our body all the time. So, we want to be changing that out for some of those better oils like the avocado oil or, the grapeseed with a G, grapeseed oil, things like that, because those ones do not have rancid fats. And then the genetically modified foods like GMOs, GMS, right? Everybody's heard of that. Genetically modified obviously means that they've altered the structure of that plant, and they also means that they basically can pump it with whatever pesticides, herbicides, insecticides, whatever they can in order to get it from from the farm to your table.
Have you guys ever had like those fruits or those vegetables that can sit on your counter for longer than a week, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, and they still look fresh and brand new?
Because they shouldn't.
Yeah,
You know?
they shouldn't.
Yeah. So that's something to think about. Like if you have an apple and you haven't eaten it in 2 weeks, and you would still look at it and go, man, I might eat that apple. Probably don't want to eat that apple, right? Because it probably has a whole bunch of stuff that's keeping it to look like that. Because food should do what after a while if it's exposed to the air? Rot, spoil, that because that's real food, right? If it's not real food, it won't do that. Like that McDonald's burger over there, that's like almost as old as me, right? And it's still looking like that. So, yeah. So 3 million pesticides we could be exposed to per year, just because that's what they're spraying on all of our crops, right? Roundup, things like that, it's just getting sprayed on there. Another thing that's crazy is when we talk about mineral depletion in our soil. So way back in the day, when we had like our crops growing, the crops would basically pull the minerals out of the soil, right? So whatever the head of lettuce nutrient value is, it's because it came out of that, right? Pulled it up out of the soil, it turned it into lettuce, and then now we're eating lettuce, we're getting all those nutrients. That's good news. Well, because we don't do a bunch of crop rotation, we use the same crop over and over again in the same area. We've depleted the minerals in that soil. So now we have soil that has nothing in it, right? So then we create lettuce. It looks like lettuce. It kind of tastes like lettuce. It's about the same size as lettuce, unless it's GMO, then it's bigger than lettuce. But it doesn't have nearly the concentration of those nutrients that it did 40, 50 years ago, because we don't have that in the soil anymore. If we're not giving our soil time to replenish its mineral content, and we just keep going at it again, now we're getting a bunch of food that really is not nutritious for us. Therefore, we're not really getting food. We're just getting food substance that is not giving us the nutrition that we need, right? So keep that one in mind, because it's important to make sure we're finding our foods from those organic areas. When we have organic food, like this company here called Beyond Organic, they do regenerative farming process. So their farm literally rotates crops the way that they're supposed to, so they don't have any loss of mineral quality amongst its farms. Right? That's good news. There's other companies that do that. The higher organic companies are the ones that are going to be taking that into consideration. So those are the companies you want to look for when you're looking for your fruits and your vegetables, right? Those organics, things like that. All right. So another thing we talk about is called biotoxin or bioaccumulation of toxins. So bioaccumulation is a buildup of, right? So one of the things that we hear about is like fish, mercury. Mercury is bad in big fish, right? They tell you don't eat things like shark, don't eat things like swordfish, the big sports fish, because of bioaccumulation of those toxins. So here's how it works. A little minnow, right, has this much mercury in it. No big deal. Now, one shark, or let's say it's something bigger than that minnow, eats 1,000 of these minnows. That thing now has this much mercury, right? Then the next bigger fish, food chain, eats 1,000 of these things, right? So on and so forth, we go down the route until finally that food's getting eaten by the shark. Now that shark has this much concentration of mercury in it because it's literally had hundreds of thousands of this stuff going in and out of its body, and it's accumulating. That's called bioaccumulation. So the moment you eat that shark, right, you are higher risk for whatever is inside that shark, which is a bioaccumulation of probably mercury and a bunch of other things. Right? So that's what we want to talk about. So we want to stay away from a lot of the big sports fish because those have huge bioaccumulation toxicity. So you want to be staying with the smaller things like the salmon, the trouts, and the sardines, and just smaller fish in general, because they don't have, and non-predatory fish too, or non-sports fish, because they're not eating the fish, other fish at that quantity, and it keeps that bioaccumulation down pretty low. Okay, so so we got bioaccumulation, that's in our waters, and then now the supplements that we're taking.
Yeah, so this one hits home with me. Before I was a chiropractor, I thought I was healthy. I was taking a bunch of different supplements because I was working out and I wanted to be a certain size and things like that. So I was taking a bunch of different stuff. Over time, I started developing digestive distress and issues. And so what I was doing was I was asking Dr. Google, what kind of supplements do I use for my gut to help with that? Well, I was using a bunch of different cleanses, gut healing things, and not really realizing that the supplements I was getting actually was very toxic to my body and was actually causing my liver to start to malfunction. And with my liver malfunctioning, that created my digestive system to break down and now works so well. So I was treating my digestive system versus treating my liver because I was overburdening with so many toxins with all the different supplements I was taking and pre-workouts and all those kind of things to try to get to a certain health fitness that people, you looked good. So I thought I was healthy. And so that was a big thing. And once I learned about Max Living and learned that there are a difference between store-bought supplements versus supplements that we recommend here, we know how these supplements are made and come from whole foods. So that's the important thing is you got to understand on the back of the ingredient, it's going to be talking about, can you read what that supplement actually comes, or that where that food source is to give it the body the vitamins that it needs. And so that's where looking at the back of the ingredient list, if you can read it, then obviously it's something that's good for us. There were some of them that this is good, but there was I can't think what it was called. Oh yeah, there's those other ones.
Yeah. So he's going to show you kind of the differences between the good supplements and the bad supplements. A lot of times with the bad supplements too, we put a lot of fillers in those supplements.
Yeah.
It's the fillers that are the issue.
So we got Centrum Silver. So there is hydrogenated palm oil. There is Blue Lake number 2, Red Lake number 40, talc. Yep. So there's rocks in here. So all this stuff is, yeah, you don't know. It's disgusting, and you don't know because the front of the label, you hear it all over the news and the radios, things like that, TV commercials. Centrum Silver, get it. So people are just getting it without even looking at it. I was there. I did the same thing. You got Osteo Bioflex, which is joint health, great for the joints. There's titanium dioxide color, palm oil, blue number 7, all in this thing here. You're just like, that's, they're all toxic to the body. Glucosamine, there's a bunch of different things in there. And the same thing with this calcium, magnesium, zinc. So you think, hey, this stuff is good for me. When we look on the back of it, you read the ingredients back here. This also has talc in it, which I didn't realize that. Polysorbate 80, all those things are accumulating toxins in the body. And then our detox organs cannot detox it fast enough because we keep bombarding with it, along with all the other stressors and toxic stuff that we're exposed to on a day-to-day basis. So we know the supplements that we have here are top quality. They get tested by 3 different third parties to make sure that what we have in our supplements is actually what we have in our supplements.
So you just kind of talked about liver and digestive dysfunction caused by gluten or whatever.
Yeah, a bunch of different toxins.
Is there some sort of an assessment, a test that can assess dysfunction or proper function?
Yeah, that would be probably our true cellular detox. That one is like a yearly detox. It detoxes specific organs, and especially you can do a detox of the brain as well. And it's a very good detox to do. I haven't done it yet, but we have quite a few patients that have done it. And they talk about how they can think clearer. They feel like the clouds just went away from their heads. They have more energy. They sleep better. So a bunch of good symptoms for the body that they are experiencing by doing the true cellular detox. But that's something you won't do monthly. It's something like every year or every 2 years that you do, because we have other detoxes or cleanses that you would do daily or you would do every quarter to make sure that you're cleaning out that toxic bucket, making sure you have less toxic buckets. So when you get bombarded with the toxins on a day-to-day basis, you have a less toxic bucket.
Is that going to be a separate topic in this presentation?
We'll mention the TCD, but it's not we're not going to elaborate onto that as well, because we will actually do at some point an actual workshop on TCD, because that's a lot more
And then,
involved.
yeah, and if you want to know more about it, we'll just set up a consult and we would sit down with Dr. Tim and go through that process.
But it will test for things, and there's a protocol. You do the protocol, we retest afterwards to see what changed.
So that's going to be.
No, what we'll do is we'll get you a consultation. We sit down with Dr. Tim. We can go over that with you specifically. Now we can find out what you need, what protocols are going to work best for you. So,
But yeah, I pretty much named up all of those colors and additives. Those are all in our supplements that we don't even know about. So just making sure we read the back of the ingredients, or just get supplements to a trusted place that you know that has third parties testing it, which you'll see here soon that we will show you. It has to have these specific labels on their supplements. But of course, the first thing is getting the stuff from your foods. Closest thing to natural first, making sure you can do that, but then obviously we can't get all of the nutrients from our foods, we've got to supplement with that. And so we know that, like I said, with our supplements here, you will get the quality that you need that will help to start to regenerate the body from the inside out. So right here, these top three things are these three ones right here. Those are three that you want to make sure that are on the supplement bottle, because those are the companies that do the third-party testing that make sure that what you say is inside of your supplement is actually truly inside of your supplement.
and then this is just like with ours. Obviously, this is what you want for any supplement company. You want to make sure that they're GMO free, they're gluten free, and they're often telling you the truth about what they're doing. And you want to make sure that the strength and purity is huge too. And something to do that with supplements in general, like Dr. Zach said, we want to get it from our food, right? If we can. If we can't do that, supplements is the next thing. But that also means that we're trying to supplement things to keep our body healthy. So skimping out and buying like really cheap something, like I can get I can get like 10 years of Centrum Silver for like $80, right? And you're like, wow, that's a deal. It's like, it's not a deal. It's too good to be true, right? Like you can literally go buy a mega jug of it, for pennies on the dollar, and yet some other company sells the exact, like we sell vitamin D. We have a vitamin D bottle, it's like $24, $17, whatever, right? So it's $20. It's $20 for this thing. It has a 30-day supply in it. You could go to Walmart and buy 400 capsules, a 2-bottle pack that has that same thing for less than what you pay here. And now you look at it and go, oh my God, we're getting screwed over at Infinity Wellness Center. Look at this. Look what I could get at McDonald's or at Walmart, right? But the reality is, if that's garbage, it's filled with rancid, it's filled with fillers. Now you're taking all of that, right? The worst or the best case scenario is it's doing nothing for you. Worst case scenario is not only is it doing nothing for you, but now your body has to detoxify from all the crap that is now inside this thing, right? So I had a mentor who used to, like, if you have $20, right, you want to put it into good quality supplements. Otherwise, don't buy $20 worth of crappy supplements. Just give somebody $20. If you just want to lose $20 and not lose out on your health, make sure you're giving your body those good supplements. If you're not willing to invest into those supplements, it's better not taking them. Okay, because taking a multivitamin like Centrum Silver is not good for you, period. So just because, it's better than nothing, it's not though. Because now you're just giving something for your body to have to detox, right? Not so great.
Another thing just real quick, Phil, is I would prefer to go to a source that I can look and find one supplement and say, this is what I want. When you go to the store, you have 14 different vitamin Ds or omegas to choose from, and you have no idea. You're not going to spend the time to look at every single one of them and say, hey, this is the one I want. But it's $17. This one over here is for $6.99. Let's get the $6.99 one just for this one time. Then eventually it just becomes on a monthly thing to get. So just get we have good stuff. So
Get the good quality stuff there.
So supplementation is kind of it's to overcome inadequate nutritional consumption. So is there a good guide to eat to provide adequate
nutrients.
Yeah, nutrients.
adequate nutrition?
Yeah, and that'll be in the Align Your Health book. The Align Your Health book, the advanced plan and the core plan, you follow those, you don't have to supplement as much with things because you're following a good eating plan.
So that's the go-to.
Yeah.
Yep.
You have a huge variety of a lot of those nutrients in there. So if you're following that, you're getting pretty much what you can get from your food. So yeah, right. Sure. So, how about your reach
So
out?
this
I'll
max,
kind of stretch you, but there is something I wanted to add to that.
Okay.
Going back to what you said about soil depletion.
Yeah.
So food now doesn't have the density it did back then, which is so true.
Yeah.
Even if you eat well, core, and advanced plant, it's a good idea to supplement anyway.
I would
because you
agree,
don't get the amount of nutrients from the foods. Like I can't remember what the number was or what exactly, but there was something talk about like 49 bowls of spinach equaled like
the one bowl of spinach back in the
yeah.
teens.
That now that 49 bowls was equal to 1 back then, and I'm just like that was insane. Like no one's gonna eat that 49 bowls of spinach, so I would rather supplement with it and get the same quality things in one little pill versus having a crap ton of veggies. So
So there's definitely a convenience factor with it. And you know, we can talk about just supplements in general. There's a lot of them,
yeah,
but more importantly, these supplements in particular, these two here, are going to help with the toxicity problems that we've been dealing with. Help kind of eliminate a lot of that from our body.
yeah, and especially we talk about the bucket.
Yeah.
So this max cleanse is a daily cleanse. So this is what you would do to help reduce the amount of toxin that we're exposed to, 2.1 million that we're exposed to on a day-to-day basis, supposedly. This will help to make sure that when we get any other toxins coming at us, that this is cleaning out that bucket so that that bucket can be refilled back up, but then it's also not overflowing. So this is it's pretty cheap. I think it's $12 for a day, I think. Don't quote me on that.
That's called
But
the
the
max,
cleanse. This is what you'll want to do just to cleanse the body on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, you have there's a sheet there that has the one on there.
The next one here is going to be the detox system. So the detox system would be something every quarter, every 3 months that you would do. There's two different things in here. One is going to be the cell detox, and the other is going to be the body detox. The cell detox is designed to go inside of the cell and clean out the cell and then let it start to flow through the body. And then now the body detox has activated charcoal in it, psyllium husk, and a few other things to allow that toxin to get stuck to it so that you can eliminate it out of your body. And this here is also a very light cleanse. You will not, this isn't one of those cleanses that you like have
Puts you
diarrhea
out.
and you're
Yeah.
stuck in bed and toilet type of a thing. This is a good, gentle detox over 30 days to clean out those toxins and remove them from your body.
You might notice you're a little tired when you first start taking that detox, especially if you have quite a bit of toxins.
But
Well,
about halfway through, getting
yeah.
towards the end, you start noticing all that energy starts to come back, clouds go away, and the mental clarity starts to happen again.
Now, if you guys are at the point where you have severe toxicity, right, like beyond where we're at, if you're in those jobs that put you at risk, then maybe doing the daily cleanse, the detox quarterly is good, but it's just not hitting it because there's just so much in your bucket, right? So one of the things that we do is when we talk about the TCD or the True Cellular Detox, similar to what you're asking about, Bill. But this really is a detox system that looks in everything. I mean, it looks and it goes like, where are the problems with her toxicity? What pathways are blocked? How do we unblock those? It's a very full, comprehensive detox package. So it's not for every person. That's why you sit down and do a consultation to find out, is this the need that you have? Or can we get by doing some kind of lighter thing and take care of it that way, right? And again, if that's something you're interested in, we can always get you scheduled for a consultation. You'll sit down with Dr. Tim, we can go over some things, and we can see if that will work for you or if we can get by with something else. So, after toxicity, we talked about physical things that you could touch, taste, eat, see, all these things, right? Another thing that oftentimes it gets taken out and we don't really consider too much is mindset. Now everybody, be positive. Always think like very basic mindset stuff. Be positive, right? Be happy. They have songs about it, right? But we obviously know that having a negative mindset or just thinking negative all the time is really stressful and it really breaks your body. Do you ever notice, like, man, if you had a particularly bad day and you just keep dwelling on that day, at the end of your day, how tired do you feel, right? How much of the world do you feel like you were carrying the entire time? So at the end of your day, you're just exhausted. Literally, you weren't carrying the world, but your mind thought you were carrying the world the entire day because that's all you kept telling yourself. You're not good enough here. You should have gotten better at that. Oh my God, what an ass. That guy just cut me off. Like all these things build up. Well, that's just adding to the weight of your life, right? So having a good positive mindset where we can get rid of that toxic negativity is going to help not only just be better in general and everything else in our life, but it allows us to have a better idea of like, we can look at things and we can see the positive in it. We can find those silver linings in life, find those silver linings in those dark clouds, and it becomes a heck of a lot easier, which means stress in our life goes down, which means we have the ability to handle life and live through life way easier than somebody who's negative Nancy all the time, right? Tigger loves life way better than Eeyore loves life. It's just the way it is, right? So that's kind of where we want to be, you know?
Every morning.
Right? So that's what we're going to take it. Let's get rid of that toxic negativity.
Well, the thing is too, you know, the emotional and mental stress that we deal on a day-to-day basis with COVID, social media, Instagram, the news, the radio, people outside of these four walls here, like how much are we getting bombarded with all those things all the freaking time? So it's so hard to not think about those things. But by that happening, it actually decreases your hormones, or no, decreases your immune system, which then decreases your happy hormones, which then increases the bad hormones, cortisol, which then over turn, we start to develop anxiety, depression, poor sleep, overall poor quality of health starts to develop just because of the mindset shift that we're having, this negativity, toxic mindset. So speaking positivity over your life has actually been proven to boost up your mental health and your physical health. So we obviously know the things that we can control. So let's take a fast from Facebook. Don't go on Facebook. Don't read all those crazy ass posts that you want to respond to and say this to and say that to. Same thing with the news. We don't watch TV whatsoever. So when people come into the office and tell us what's going on in the world, it's new to me because I don't pay attention to the news. That might be a bad thing, but every time I pay attention to news, I feel I feel the inside of my cells getting so infuriated and angry, and I can just feel the shakiness in my entire body. I'm like, why put myself through that? If I didn't have a choice to turn on and be angry or turn off and be happy, I'm going to turn off and be happy and stick with that. See what happens. And it definitely does make a big difference in life.
All right. So exit that conventional, right? Detox your mind. We just talked about it.
Yeah.
This is kind of a cool. It's not about technology being the existential threat. It's technology's ability to bring out the worst in society, the worst in society being the existential threat, right? Facebook right there is perfect. Brings out the worst in people, right? And back and forth. And then now everybody somehow is an expert at it. And it's just this giant negativity of social media. So we want to try and detox our mind from that.
So one big thing on that there is, so does everybody know that our brain's actually a muscle? Yeah. Our brain is a muscle. Yeah. You can work it. Talking about positivity over your life, making sure we are happiness, talking about joy, love, going to church, affirmations, meditation, all of those things help to create a positive, stronger mindset in developing our brain to become stronger and healthier. Our brains can be rewired, and that's because it's a muscle. You can work on certain things. When you focus on one thing all the time, you get better at it. Just like anything, you can't be a professional doing it one time. You got to do it multiple times, to become that professional. You can do the same thing with that brain.
Yes. All right. Now, how do we start cleaning that up? Obviously, be a professional with your brain muscle. That one's really good there. But then obviously the oxygen exercise, right? Everybody knows, like, what is oxygen good for in your body? What needs oxygen? Everything, right? If you don't have any oxygen for, let's say, a few minutes, what happens to you? You're gone, right? Not very good. Well, that's you, this big, right? Everything needs oxygen, from how big it is to how small it is. So the individual cells in your body need just the same oxygen that the overall body needs as well. Okay, so we want to make sure that we're pumping our body with oxygen. One of the things that we do find out with oxygen is cancer hates oxygen. right? It loves sugar, it hates oxygen. So if we can have an environment that's really high in oxygen, really low in sugar, we're making it inhospitable to things like cancer. So we're making a lot more resistant for cancers to want to go set up shop there. Right now, if we start changing that and we start making an environment in which things are really happy to live, like lots and lots of sugar, very sedentary lifestyle, we're not doing any exercise. Now we've just completely changed that, right? High sugar, low oxygen. Now the body goes, okay, well, what can I put in there that's going to make that happen? That will proliferate cancer because cancer loves sugar. It hates oxygen. So that's where we're going to find it, right? Not just that though, as we do oxygen and exercise is great for the body in that regard. I don't think anybody is going to dispute the fact that like exercising is healthy for you. It's good for you to be doing. Not only is it getting the oxygen in, we're building strength in our muscles, in our mind, right? Especially like when we do the Max T3 workout, we get that brain-derived neurotrophic factor. It literally builds brain, right? Literally builds muscle, improves cardiovascular health. All these things improve. One of the other things that we start seeing too is like, anybody had a really hard workout? When we get done with the workout, how do you feel? Like, what's going on? You're sweating, right? Sweating's a great thing. Sweating eliminates toxins. Yeah, we want to sweat. Sweating takes that, specifically oxygen there, will help take out some of the toxins that we find like in those plastics, the BPAs, things like that. They get pulled out from the body as your body sweats. There are some people that they cannot sweat. You ever met anybody like that? Right? That pathway that allows their body to eliminate toxins is stuck. It's shut down. It's not happening. So now that person who should be able to eliminate this to their sweat, it's not happening. We have to unblock that pathway so that whole sweat process can start working so your body can actually do what it's supposed to do and get rid of a lot of that, a lot of those toxins, right? Because that's what it does. Sweat releases those toxins out. And you know, we have the different supplements can actually help kind of do that. And as we go through and you get stronger and you continue doing the exercise and oxygen, eventually you can start opening up those pathways, you know, work a heck of a lot better.
And if you have difficulty sweating, we have an infrared sauna that you can get started with.
Yeah.
Just get those pores, get that body to start to detox, and then, you know, of course, incorporating exercise as well.
Yeah, and your flood will be like a waterfall. Crazy. All right, so we're almost in. I just wanted to go over the last couple of concepts before I let you guys all leave. This is probably the most important thing. You guys are in a chiropractic office. You've learned a lot more than a lot of people know about how the body works, right? But really, we want to come out with health is 100% function, right? And that's what we're really big on. You guys remember then, what is the thing that controls function in the body? Brain, right? Brain, spinal cord, your nervous system. That's what controls everything. So if we know that the nervous system controls everything, right? Now it's important to eliminate toxicity. It's important for our body to be able to do these things. But let's say your nervous system should be sending 100% energy to your liver so your liver can detoxify all the garbage that's coming at us on a daily basis, right? That's good news because that's how life should work. Awesome. Now let's say your body is not functioning 100%, right? You have, what's that word called when you get a misalignment in your spine? Subluxation. Let's say you're subluxated, right? And now your nervous system is not able to communicate at 100%. Let's say it's working at 60%. Now my brain's sending 60% energy to the liver. Is your liver now going to detoxify your body at 100%? It can't, right? Why not? It's blocked. Your nervous system is not able to come communicate. So it is important to eat good, healthy, nutritious food. It is important to exercise, take care of yourself, to remove toxins from your body. Nobody's disputing that fact. But the reality, guys, is if you're not taking care of your nervous system and it's not functioning at the highest that it can possibly function, you are at a disadvantage. Everything that you're doing, the exercise that you're doing is slightly less, right? The food that you're eating, the good nutritious stuff that you're trying to put in your body, the good things, is not working nearly as well as it could be. Because the thing that's supposed to be healing your body is impaired. And if it can't heal your body, then it slowly is not healing your body over a period of time. Now we get these other toxins coming into our body and it becomes a huge, huge problem. So, you know, it's very important to make sure that we take care of our nervous system, right? Because what does it control? Organs, everything goes to your nervous system and it's controlled by it. So we want to make sure that that's working for you 100%. That's going to give you the best opportunities in life to overcome any of these obstacles and also to eliminate a lot of the toxins that you get exposed to on a daily basis. And so what are some of the warning signs? You guys have been here, so you've known people, or you've seen people that have had these warning signs, and it's a crazy list, right? And it's
Not
a
just a
warning
little
sign.
list.
It's a little list, right? There's a whole heck of a lot more, right? But the reality is, by the time we get to these warning signs, something's telling you you have a problem. How long has the problem been there? Did it just start that day? No, right? It took a while for this to happen, and now you're hearing the warning signs. So, in our office, we're really big, like, don't wait till you get a warning sign. Don't wait till your car's on the side of the road with no gas before you should have went and put gas in it, right?
Or even like an oil, like if you never change your oil in your car for 5 years, what happens to your motor?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you know that
We have an expert over here.
6 months of
About
not
that.
changing your oil, your car breaks down. So it's the same thing with the human body. If you don't change anything, what's going to happen? It's going to break down.
You've driven 10,000 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So 6 months is the
Goes from
limited car
Florida to
ride.
Colorado,
Yeah.
Florida to Colorado.
So things to think about, right? It doesn't take very long for that to happen. It takes a long time for your body to build up this sickness and disease before we even have these warning signs happening, right? So that's why in our office, it's huge. It's important to make sure that nervous system is working, right? So we check that. We check your spine, we check your posture, we do a scan, because those are the ways that we find out how well is your nervous system even functioning. Is there anywhere where it's problematic, right? We do that here in the office. If you have friends, you have family, you have loved ones, bring them in. We're here to help. Find out exactly what's going on. Make sure that, A, their nervous system and their body is even functioning at a level that allows them to have the opportunity to detoxify their body. Because if they're working at less than, right, if they're not having a functioning nervous system, then they're getting bombarded with everything that we are, but they're not having the ability to heal themselves at the rate that we are, right? So they're being affected way more than anybody else. Keep that one in mind. We don't want people to be suffering when they can just take care of their body, and then the body will in turn take care of them. That's how it should work.
When you think it's important to start taking care of that thing that's in your back? Usually, birth is the most important time to get started.
Yeah.
Keep that nervous system, that spine, that body healthy from day one. Okay. Last few slides here. So action steps. Obviously, we talked about all of these things here. Cleaners, cosmetics, containers, pots and pans, water, food, supplements, mindset, exercise. Those are all ways to help to reduce toxins in the body. We need to make sure that we are changing some of those things up. Now, by all means, don't do it all at one time. Slowly start making those changes because one, it'll be expensive. Two, it can overstress you. We don't want to overstress the system. And then down the nervous system, nervous system hygiene. We just really hit hard on that in the last slide. It's important to take care of that for how long, though? From birth till death. It will take care of us. The last thing is to cleanse out the toxins, and that's how the nervous system plays a big role in that, is making sure it can communicate. Like Troy hit a good point on all that nervous system functioning. The last thing here, upcoming opportunities. So help a loved one. So you guys have coworkers, friends, family members, you know somebody. There's one person that you can name, write them down, let's see what we can do to help them out. We have specials that we are offering, $97 for a complete 3-day experience here in our office to find out what we can do to help to transform their life so that they can live the lives that you guys have been living. There's one event that we forgot to add on there. It's our community dinner, which is April 19th, which is also another fantastic way to bring a loved one to help them out, to make sure that they can live the life that they want to live because they see you live the life that they want to live. Then we've got the Mother's Day Pamper Party coming up May 8th at 11 a.m. in office here. We've done that the last couple of years. Awesome. Last year was because of COVID, didn't happen, but all you moms still got prizes and presents and stuff. So
yeah, we did a drive-by.
Yeah, we appreciate you all. The next thing here will be the cardiovascular health workshop, May 24th at 6:30 p.m. in our office. With those, we want you guys to bring somebody. Just bring them into the office. Let's love on them and show them that we care for them and give them hope, because out in this world, that hope button is very, very small.
When is the cardiovascular one?
May 24th.
6:30.
All these things are in the monthly
Correct.
Yes.
Once a month comes up.
Yep. So in a few days, we'll have the
April.
April one.
And then these are just ways to connect with us, you guys. I mean, connect with Facebook and Instagram. Those are our names. So, Infinity_Wellness, and we are posting things on there all the time. So you guys have a choice of what you want to do with your lives, and we want to be able to be a part of that with you guys. So we're here for you guys. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys being here. Have a fabulous evening, everybody. Hope you got something great out of this. Cool.
So just one last thing here. One of my mentors talked to me about, like, would you rather work hard now to have success and health and a great future, or would you rather take it easy now and work really hard later in life when things get harder and your body starts to break down? Either start to take care of it now.
Yeah.
So we have, if you guys want to, there's a cool little thing that we're doing. It's a 30